Alrighty. Hi everybody. This is my critical reflection on teaching video. So for my video, this is an edtpa video for a high school English class. And the teacher's name that I'm going to be reflecting on is Mr. Monk.
Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about theme. As you guys noticed as you were reading these chapters, that there was a pretty important theme that came up, right? With the Mockingbird, title of the book. Okay, so what is the theme? Tell me what a theme is.
So when it comes to camera angle, the angle of this camera shot is a long shot, and you can see that because you can see, for the most part, you can see his head to his toes, and you can see the location that he's in, and you can see the background, and you can see students, and their backs turned to the desk, and it also doesn't show some students, because in this picture I can't tell actually how many students he has, which that can be a little hard, and you can tell by the way that he addresses his class that they pay attention to him and that they turn around as soon as he is wanting to start class. What is also important about this shot is that he is moving around, but the camera is not moving around. It is still, and it must be on some sort of a tripod or anything like that. And he's also wearing a microphone around his neck. And right now at the moment, the audio quality is okay. It's not necessarily the best, but we will hear it change throughout the lesson that he presents.
Yeah, what's the moral of the story, what it's about? Moral of the story, what it's about? Anything else? Yeah, John. Central attitude. Central attitude. Okay. Yeah. What keeps reoccurring? Okay. Those are all good things. What I'm going to focus on today, though, is have you guys create your own theme and do it the most accurate way possible. So you guys are on the right page with what a theme is.
So, in the beginning of this lesson, he uses a PowerPoint, and it is centered around the theme. And another important thing is that he walks around and he asks his students questions. And something that he does that's really cool is he has at least 3 students answer his question before he moves on to what a theme actually is. And he is promoting creativity and promoting a way for the students to be engaged and to be able to promote thinking and development with their abilities by them creating their own quote-unquote themes for To Kill a Mockingbird.
So if you guys want to take something else to take notes on, use your Chromebooks or a piece of paper. So like some of you guys said, theme is a central message of the text. And it usually says something about life, something about the human condition. And this PowerPoint's also on Schoology.
So right off the bat we can tell that as the students are getting out their Chromebooks and getting out their paper, they're listening to him, everyone is participating, they are, he's addressing them and delivering what he's wanting to say. And there's a lot of participation so far, and there's a few responses. We can tell that his tone is pretty monotoned, but it is relaxed and it is not pressured and it doesn't sound stressed. He even later tells them it's on Schoology, and he tells them to pull out paper and a Chromebook. And also later on, I can't really hear a lot of students who ask a question on how to find the PowerPoint. And he makes a lot of different emphasizes on different specific words, and he also lets the students know that you don't have to write down all of the PowerPoint.
Okay. If you guys can't think of any more, I kind of made a brief list of the ones that I can think of. Leadership, which is the big one that we talked about. We focused our whole unit on that. Civilization, which is symbolized by the conch, if you remember. Loss of innocence, world wars, violence, bullying, and survival, like what Dusty said. So that's what you're going to want to do. When you start writing your theme, you're going to want to brainstorm different topic ideas. And what I'm going to focus on then is leadership. And what insights do we have on leadership? Since you guys should all be leadership experts after writing your papers. What insights? What does the book tell you about leadership? Yeah. Leadership is hard, good, it's difficult to do. There's a lot of factors, yeah. Good. Yeah.
So that was about the middle of the lesson, where he's giving them examples of using The Lord of the Flies as an example. So it's really smart that he ended up using a different type of book instead of To Kill a Mockingbird, so that the students couldn't copy some possible topics and things, so that he's letting them be able to connect the knowledge that they have with knowledge that is gained from the book. And also on the board in the beginning, he had a topics plus insight equals theme. And what he did is he connected that with like math-minded people and said like that is how to connect students who are not necessarily do really well in English language arts, and connects them also with the math with a little bit of a twist. And I think it was really cool that he pointed out and brought examples, and he used them, and he also brought in the fact that they previously just wrote a paper on leadership, and he told them, quote unquote, you should all be experts on leadership because all of you just wrote a paper on it. So obviously they spent a lot of time talking about leadership and talking about The Lord of the Flies previously. And he also repeats some of his questions and gives the students time to be able to think and to be able to analyze and to be able to promote more learning. I think that it is also important that he kind of affirmed some students and made them feel important by telling them like, hey, the idea that you had was right and that you're on the right track, kind of thing. And I think that that also builds a lot of motivation and a lot of encouragement in students who are willing to be more to participate, because the teacher has helped them to be able to gain that courage to be able to speak up in class. I was also able to hear some of the students' answers during that question, and also he does a really good job of showing examples and saying that you can be wrong with your insights, so that it gives the students a way to be able to think thoughtfully through all of their ideas and to be able to think about the insights and what they might find in the different topics that are in Lord of the Flies.
Good. You do need leaders to do a lot of things. Sure you are. You're a leader. So those are how I combine my insights. Any questions on that? This is what the final result I expect you guys to get to with To Kill a Mockingbird. No questions, so everyone understands how to come to an accurate theme? Yeah? Is you good? Okay. Alright. So now what you're going to do is I want you to partner up with someone next to you. So there should not be any movement. You guys should just have to turn your heads. And then you're going to create a list of topics to kill a mockingbird. And that can be anything. We're going to see which groups can come up with the most topics. And I'm going to start the timer for 5 minutes. We're going to make this a competition. So you guys have 5 minutes to pick a partner and then get as many topics as you can.
I think that it was also really important that he gave them an example and told them, like, hey, this is what I'm expecting as an end result. And I think he handled that well. And I think that he did well with saying, like, hey, it's time for you to find a partner. But then students kind of started moving around, and he had to stop them and tell them, hey, you should only turn your heads around. And I think that's important to address that right before you tell them to get into partners. And I think it was also really good that he had them get into partners to do like a little bit of a competition to create a list of topics, so it helps the students to think full and throughout all of the different thoughts that they have on topics for To Kill a Mockingbird. I think that this teacher's teaching method was effective for the most part, and I think that he delivered what he was wanting to teach his students well. And I definitely think that there's a lot of participation there, but I did not see any participation except for maybe like 1 or 2 hands in the middle group of people. And I think that he also engaged with the students in a constructive way and was trying to build them up and trying to build their courage to be able to speak up in class and to be able to have thoughts and to be able to ask questions. Because that's what you want in that type of school environment. You want your students to be able to feel comfortable, to be able to ask you questions. This teacher also did a good job of connecting prior knowledge and personal knowledge because of the papers that they had to write for leadership. So that was connecting their personal knowledge and their prior knowledge together and connected it to make a new learning product out of it. Again, I believe that the challenge at the end helped promote a lot of different thinking and developing their abilities to be able to construct a meaning. And also, I didn't see a whole lot of how the teacher kind of supported the learning with the whole class for like the students who needed like greater support or challenges, except maybe if he considered them partnering beside each other and talking with each other, that might have possibly did that, but there was no clear development there for me or any kind of support that I saw except him just letting students answer throughout the class. He didn't call on anybody's name to ask them a question specifically, and so I think that might be something that he could have done. I definitely think that the students took up the engagement well and also thought of a variety of different ways of responding and asking questions, and they also were able to get into a collaborative work, and they seemed very much interested in that because as soon as he said get into partners, I saw so many students like snap their heads around and already decide like who they wanted their partners to be. And so I think that there is a lot of good engagement there and students that are wanting to participate. And I think that it was really cool that he had the timer up already in a leak. He just had to switch over the board. And some final thoughts. So there wasn't the whole classroom shown, and that's probably something that I would have changed about this edtpa. But overall, I think that the movement of the camera was good because it didn't move, and I thought his angle was good because it showed him and it showed his presentation and it showed other students. And yeah, and he didn't have any necessarily fully added effects or graphics or a lot of sounds except for him just speaking. And so that could have possibly changed and he could have added some things. But overall, that's my reflection on this edtpa video.